Hey there, YouTubers. It's Justin again. Welcome back. Okay, this is video 3 in the COVID series. We have COVID. This is my wife, Mrs. FullyAlive, the First Lady. Meredith, glad you could join us today.
Thank you.
It's a beautiful day, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a beautiful day to get outside and recover from COVID, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, we got in the background Grace. Say hi.
Also recovering from COVID.
Yes, another survivor. We got 5 out of 5 survivors in this house, so that's awesome. Okay, so we had a few questions about video number 2. What is a spacer after all? So this is a video that we're going to talk about gadgets that have saved us from having really bad things happen to us during COVID. So let's start with it. The question that I had was about a spacer and what on earth is that? Because I mentioned that Meredith had an inhaler with albuterol steroids. So Meredith, tell us how you got that, what it is, and demonstrate for us.
Okay, so this is an inhaler. I don't know if you can read that.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no. I can't.
Bring it over. There it is. There it is.
Albuterol sulfate.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, when I was first diagnosed with COVID, I actually was tested through my doctor's office, and so they were following up with me, and they said, if you have any tightness in your chest, let us know, and we'll prescribe you an inhaler. So probably on day 2 or 3, I felt a little bit of tightness or heaviness in my chest, just ever so slightly. But I decided that I would go ahead and have them call an inhaler in for me, just in case it got worse. I had been coughing the whole time, but was just feeling a little bit of discomfort. So I had them call this in, and I used it a couple of times. Then on day 9, I started coughing a lot more, started having like major coughing fits where I really could not stop coughing, couldn't talk. It was out of control. And then on day 10, I woke up in the morning, and I think all of that congestion had really settled into my chest overnight, and I could not catch my breath. I would try to take a deep breath, and I just couldn't fill up my lungs with air, and then I would start coughing again. So we had this pulse oximeter thing that was given to us by a friend who's a doctor right when we all found out that we had it. And so I checked my oxygen, and my oxygen was at 87, and your oxygen's supposed to be over 90. And so my oxygen was very low, which means I wasn't taking in enough air, and that was really scary. Thankfully, I already had an inhaler, so I used that, and immediately my oxygen level went back up to like 98 or 99 immediately. And then I decided, I would wait. The instructions on this said to use it every 4 hours, so I waited about 3.5 hours and then used it again, at which point I called a friend of ours who's a doctor, and she said, well, you can use your inhaler every hour if you need to use it, and you also need a spacer. Thankfully, I had a spacer in our house. So this is what a spacer is. This is actually a spacer that we already had in our house because Lily had RSV when she was a baby. So this is a child-sized spacer, but basically the way that it works is that you put the inhaler at this end of the spacer, and then you put it over your nose and your mouth, and when you pump it, this chamber fills up with all of the medicine, and you can slowly breathe it into your lungs. It's supposed to get more of the medicine into your lungs. Now, this one's really small for me, but I managed to fit it over my nostrils and over my mouth. She also told me that if I didn't have a spacer, that I could use a paper towel or a toilet paper roll, and that would have kind of served the same purpose. But anyway, I didn't know I needed a spacer. I'm glad that I had one. I'm also glad that I had already called in and asked for an inhaler. So I would say if you have COVID and you're having any kind of coughing or any like the slightest respiratory symptoms, I would say to ask your doctor for an inhaler, because I feel like if I hadn't had it when my oxygen was so low, I might have had Justin take me to the hospital. I don't know. thankfully I avoided going to the hospital. I feel like it was very providential that I already had the inhaler, and also the pulse oximeter was a good thing to have.
Yeah, I mean, this tells you not that you're not getting enough air, but it says that your lungs aren't working right. Your lungs have to reoxygenate the blood, and so it's checking that level. What's your oxygenation levels? If it's below 90, you're in bad shape. So we could have gone to the hospital, emergency room. Really bad stuff could have happened. Knox came to me and said, "Hey, I think Mom's dying." It was pretty serious. So
I couldn't stop coughing.
She couldn't breathe
in the middle of a coughing fit.
Yeah. So
also another thing about this pulse oximeter is that it tells you what your heart rate is, which should be between 60 to 90 beats per minute for an adult. And I have learned that if you're dehydrated, your heart rate is going to be really high. So this has been helpful for that too, because it's helped us to know when maybe we weren't getting enough hydration, especially for the kids who don't love to drink water. This could show them, like, hey, you really need to drink a lot more water. And as far as hydration is concerned, of course, we've been drinking a lot of water and Gatorade, but also we've been eating a ton of soup and popsicles, so there's all kind of ways to hydrate yourself. So
all good. Yeah, so it's basically 3 things that can save you during COVID. Pulse oximeter, easy. This thing right here, the spacer with the inhaler on there, and popsicles. Good news, guys.
Water.
All right, water. Hey, if you get COVID, use these tips. Let us know if you have more questions, and we appreciate you watching. And definitely hit subscribe. I feel like if you're making a YouTube video, you got to say that, right? So definitely subscribe, and we'll let you know what's going on. Anything else to say?
That's it. I'm on day 12, and I finally feel pretty normal. Still have a little bit of a lingering cough, but hopefully I'm almost out of the woods. Thank you for praying for me.
Yes, absolutely. Grace, you got anything to say?
No.
Okay, we got another COVID survivor back here. All right, 5 for 5 so far. We've all survived. All right, Westmos, we're thankful. We're grateful. We appreciate everybody watching and praying and being curious about us and supporting us. So thank y'all, and y'all be safe. Don't get COVID, but if you do, you know where to turn. We got your back. Take care.